The sport sees even more midseason cuts. Kramer spills the tea on Lone Star. Buckets breaks through in a tight finish, and even more this week in disc golf. What's going on, all you disc generates? It's Swiss Cheese, the one with all the holes in his game, and I'm with the disc golf world, the YouTube channel your favorite pros never miss. You're watching This Week in Disc Golf, where I cover all things disc golf from the past week. If you enjoy the content and you want it to continue, make sure to subscribe, engage, or contribute to the Patreon, as our content and tour is solely funded by you, the fans, and allows us to take the minivan and hit the tour, including this year's Worlds, as we are currently en route to Virginia. And if you're attending and you see us goofballs on the course, make sure to stop us and say what's up. In recent weeks, the sport has been unable to ignore the signs of a recession, or what some call the marketing resettling from the COVID boom. However we want to title it, sales, attendance, and general revenue into our sport has resulted in a number of layoffs this season, felt across the entire spectrum of the game in player, manufacturer, and the Disc Golf Pro Tour itself. Began with prodigies cutting both Kevin Jones and Vino Makala, which was rare to see in mid-season, yet were casually disregarded as more of a poor company contract decision over a precursor to something larger. Add the most recent layoffs by the DGBT and the cuts to commentators, full-time staff, and now camera crews, as Ace Run announces that they have been let go also this week, which brings more concerns to just the coverage quality, as it means either less cameras or the same amount just operated by possibly less experienced freelance crews. Over the years of experience on tour that Ace Run has performed, these moves are beginning to appear more and more as cost-saving initiatives as opposed to trimming underperforming talent. I know just last week I said I'm not panicking as of yet. However, with the news from Jefferson on there being a tighter camera crew just last week at Idlewild, now add Ace Run's statement, and we certainly can't forget Bill, who was easily the tour's best crowd control employee, who had feet on the ground at nearly every stop, also being part of these cuts. Along with all these decisions happening this close to your premier event, the World Championship, does warrant more concerns and watchful eyes from the community moving forward. Fortunately for the tour, Lone Star Disc's accused treatment of former players has provided enough of a distraction, as the manufacturer made some mid-season cuts of their own by letting go of Leah Sinagini and what seems to be the final end of the on-again, off-again relationship with forehand and hair dye specialist Chandler Kramer, as this storyline has much more drama than even we can be accused of manufacturing. Kramer revealed the unscrupulous actions of Lone Star following his termination from the sponsor, which involved not only the vehicle he tours in, but also his home on the road. Kramer goes on to say, "A few hours before my round started on Friday, I received a text informing me that the van that I had been living/traveling in this season was going to get returned to Houston. Since I was no longer on the team, makes sense. However, because of this, it meant I was going to be stranded in Kentucky with all my things. All this coming down with Worlds kicking off in a week and a half almost seems personal." Kramer was forced to find a home for his stuff, fly back to Texas, purchase a van, and drive 15 plus hours back east for Worlds. And even with Lone Star's reasoning the cut was due to a lack of promotion, for many, this seemed deeper than marketing reasons or a financial business decision. And Kramer certainly didn't dispel that either. Not the greatest look for Lone Star, who has been marred since its rise in the sport roughly 2 years ago, where they became popular with a number of surprise offseason acquisitions and a Ranger team that grew the company further, only to follow that up by shrinking the player roster just this last offseason, threats of lawsuits, capitalization of said Ranger team, and some damning accusations from former marketing employee Jeff Hofstra prior to the Open at Austin just this year, which included statements that Lone Star tried to control or hinder his business ventures with even threats of physical violence against him. Hofstra, who owns Dropship and Meridian, considers Kramer a friend, signed him after he was initially let go by Lone Star this last offseason, and again just now with this latest cut. Yet Lone Star did pick him up shortly after that initial signing, which for many seemed to be more of a move to allow tour buddies the opportunity to continue together this season in the same van. According to Hofstra, that's not entirely true, saying the re-signing was Lone Star's efforts to weaponize Kramer against him, as the company didn't want Dropship's logo on Kramer's shirt or the tour for that matter. To be candid, the sponsorship always seemed off as more of a business decision by each party than a happy partnership, expressed even further in some off-the-record conversations from several pros and what we observed while on tour. Even Kramer states he was not part of the team meetings. For whatever reason, whether financial or otherwise, the partnership was discontinued. Lone Star has done their best effort to mediate the drama, and in classic fashion, failed to do so miserably, as the community has been very vocal of the actions made by the company. Sheldon Jefferson, who's with Lone Star, shared with Foundation in a statement that, quote, some of the timeline is accurate, but to say that he was stranded is an exaggeration at best and honestly a lie. Also making mentions they intended on honoring both players for their service in social media posts. Yet the reaction of the players and making the news public forced them to change course. I wish I was making that up like your favorite disc changing your entire game, but that was the company's sincere reaction to this news. And you guys thought the dog signing was bad PR. These statements and the decisions made seem far more vindictive than just a straight business decision for most paying attention. I understand that Idlewild is the closest remaining stop to Texas currently on tour, and may have been part of the timing of these moves. But what just might be even worse is some of the whispers we have heard personally, as these cuts and the acquisition of the van was the desperate efforts of a company who's in financial peril, as the company is rumored to owe a significant amount in royalties for pro disc sales this season. Shouldn't take you sleuths too long to nail down which pro is owed, but until we can verify, I'm not. Maybe make sure to comment below for the ones who are lost. But this could be the reason why they didn't allow more time for Kramer to get situated. 3 days while playing a tournament simply is not enough. And why request Kramer return the vehicle at all, or having Robert Burridge, one of your premier players on your roster, make the trip so closely to Worlds, especially considering his performance at majors already this year, which have been the best on the entire roster. These do seem to be drastic or desperate moves when you consider it longer. Why not pay for the vehicle to be shipped if it's needed that badly? Or I don't know, bite the bullet and keep the sponsorship till the end of the year and drop the players and simply go on your way in the offseason. All of which would have netted a far more positive reaction from the community. Shit, you only have to look at Prodigy from a couple of months ago on how to handle this in a more professional manner. And that company sued one of their players.
Beth at 69.
I just told myself, you just got to will this one in there. Whatever you have, just will it in there.
This man is unbelievable. This is what athletes live for. This is the moment.
We've reached out to Lone Star for comment but have yet to hear back, while Chandler chose not to add any other comments beside his posts. I can't be more glad to get back to the disc golf action, especially with that finish in the MPO. That features the game's nice guy who still politely leaves phone messages despite it pissing everybody off, and Isaac Robinson, who was looking to become the first repeat winner on this track in 8 years. Had the hot round of the tournament on day 2, then closed the gap on the leaders shortly and took the lead outright and appeared to be well on his way to a victory. Already one of the best Woods players on tour, getting local route love and uncanny bounces certainly didn't hurt. Yet he still had names tightly behind in Calvin Heimberg, another former winner on this course, and breakout talent still looking for their first Elite Series win in Joey Buckets Anderson and Ezra I'm desperate for a nickname Robinson. Then holes 13, 14, and 15 happened, where Isaac's score looked as sad as a Subway. Not just one of their sandwiches, but the entire store, with a triple, bogey, and double bogey moving Buckets to the top of the leaderboard. And even with Ezra's 8 down on the back half and Heimberg's eagle on 16, Buckets just continued to shut the door when needed with huge putts and near throw-in on 18, keeping both at bay as they tied for second place. I've been praising Buckets' game since last season, and prior to this victory might have been one of the more underrated pros on tour. However, with this win and all those names that were in contention, has certainly opened many fans' eyes. For some, it might have been more difficult to keep your eyes open during the FPO action, with only Owen Scoggins of the few top pros in attendance to perform over the weekend. Sure, Holland Hanley was able to slide into a top 5 finish on the final day, but both her and Missy Gannon never factored over the weekend. Owen would take control halfway through the second round and coast to an uncontested victory for her second win on the season. It was probably more difficult for Owen to take down all those birthday brews that night than the rest of the field. In fact, only 2 other players besides Owen shot under for the tournament and needed big final rounds to do so. Natalie Ryan needed all of that course record-setting performance to snag a second place, and Sarah Holcomb's 5 under got her a third place finish and first podium since last year. Far more compelling was what Ryan Mon was able to achieve this year, completing what has been dubbed the Am Slam, or winning all 3 amateur majors on the year, as Mon became the first ever to accomplish the feat, setting off every 900-ish rated disc golfer who is overly aggressive at putting leagues by actually accusing the 17-year-old of sandbagging. Sometimes, guys, and I'm not excluded in this either, but disc golfers are dumb. Sure, he has major victories by some wide margins, but also needed some help to win that United States Amateur Disc Golf Championship. And we can't forget, it's f***ing allowed. Who cares if he plays MPO? He's playing by the rules, not accepting cash. Oh, And he's 17. Let alone, these moves certainly will help him acquire far better sponsorship offers when he does go pro. And we can't forget Virginia Pokinghorn, taking down her first amateur world championship by 6 strokes. That trophy should sit nicely next to those 5 junior world championships. And though it didn't get him in the win, Austin Gerke back-to-back aces the final day might be one of the best consolation prizes. Now let's get to some quick hitters. DGBT just released their 2025 schedule, and there was far too much to unpack to squeeze it into this cut. Look out for a separate video from us as we break down the schedule more in depth. And for those that want to celebrate early, no DDO. The DGBT Europe Point Champions were announced this week, with Ricky Wysocki and Silva Saarinen winning those, though Silva's new ride is a lot cooler. Hopefully with a fuller European schedule, the points will be more dispersed next season. This year, players' socials have been inundated with endless love posts with plenty of proposals and wedding pics, and this week was only slightly different because it had both. Gavin Babcock proposed to his long-term girlfriend without the shirtless run celebration, while Kristen Tatar and Silver Lot tied the knot. And of course, Katie Tati, who is never far behind, attended, showcasing some beautiful wedding photos and of course some promotions as Kristen's brand keeps making moves. There was plenty of birthdays also. Paige, Missy, Tina Oakley celebrated Tom's birthday with beer, cups, ball, rebuttals, watching elbows, and in this case, a river. While Owen got sang to on the course by fans, and Kona celebrated her turbulent year with friends, family, and her husband. Guys, in true hero fashion, Chandler Fry is out here erasing the shame by sharing his Idlewild hemorrhoid story. You can't just go to a chiropractor and pop those guys back in like Ricky's rib. But the disc golf world wants to wish Chanimal a quick recovery. Scott Withers got his 150th MPO win of his career and a hatchet. Hey guys, what's that in the background of Dylan Cease posts? Thanks a lot, Dylan. Kat and Nico are now doing cameos, and Andrew Presnell sets up hole 18's basket from his Champions Cup win. And one of the coolest mementos on tour. Beats our USDGC bathroom sign all day. And guys, that wraps up this week in disc golf. If you've enjoyed and not subscribed, make sure to do so. Be on the lookout for all our world's coverage, and if you haven't already, make sure to like, comment, and share.